Good evening and welcome to Digital Transformation with Tavanga. Over the last few weeks, we've explored the different facets of digital transformation. And in the last video, even looked at some of the technologies that companies have been using over the last 5 to 10 years. In this video, we are going to now be exploring some of the newer technologies that we've seen companies explore and actually use within their business models. Today, we'll be looking at two main technologies that organizations have recently started infusing into their operational models in order to become better, faster, and cheaper. And starting off, we'll start with IoT, also known as the Internet of Things, which is essentially a network of connected objects that are aware, autonomous, and actionable. To illustrate this, I'll use an example of a client of ours, a large-scale commercial farm rather, that is operating within the SADC region. What they basically are doing is they've got a large plot of plants, approximately 6 hectares, and all of them are in a greenhouse environment. Within this one big greenhouse environment, we have placed multiple sensors and multiple platforms that are powering the sensors. And essentially, the sensors on a daily basis are recording fundamental data, including the soil level, including the water levels within the soil, including oxygen levels. And basically, in collecting all this data, they're connected to a network, or rather a platform on a network that basically analyzes the data in real time. And so, for example, if the water level is too low on a particular plant, it then instructs the water pump to open up water and then water that specific plant. So that way, every single plant has enough coverage in terms of what exactly it needs to grow. And therefore, in using this IoT, or rather the Internet of Things, to implement this in your organization, you find that most organizations are using and leveraging on these kinds of platforms to ensure that they can be able to take out repetitive tasks that individuals or people had to do in the past, and are now able to have sensors and autonomous platforms do this for them. You also see this kind of technology as well in the use of self-driving cars, in that they also have different types of sensors within them that sense what is going on within their immediate environment and then make decisions autonomously to be able to make a change. As an organization, how then can you be able to leverage on IoT to increase growth, or rather to find and capture your value? We've seen that many different organizations have used this in different ways, but normally we've seen that IoT is most prevalent in manufacturing companies, whereby there's a lot of different variables that are going around, and all of them will determine the total output. We've also seen this work very well within farms, and lately have also seen this used in insurance. I'll give a good example again with a client of ours within the insurance sector. They have recently implemented a platform that allows them to be able to determine how much insurance all the different clients they have should be paying, or that other the premium they should be paying on a monthly basis depending on their behaviors. So this platform essentially monitors the client as they're driving throughout the month, records this data, and then goes on to then tell the platform, the bad behaviors that the driver has been doing, the good behaviors, and depending on the good behaviors and the bad behaviors aggregated together, it then comes up with how much insurance should be charged to the specific person. You find that this kind of technology will continue to evolve as years go by, and organizations will use it in different contexts and different ways. However, organizations need to be very careful when implementing this technology because it's still very new. And because it's very new, it means that not too many parts of the value chain are going to be easily interconnected. And as a result, organizations need to make sure that whatever IoT platforms they integrate or use in their organizations have a modular architecture that enables them to be able to make edits and modifications, as well as platforms with easy to use APIs. which will ensure that they're able to connect these platforms to other platforms as they become available. The next technology we'll be exploring is additive manufacturing, also known as 3D printing. This is essentially the creation of three-dimensional products using computer-aided design, layering, and different types of materials. Compared to the traditional type of manufacturing, additive printing basically builds on various layers of product until a finished product is created. Compared to where traditionally, if you wanted to make a table, you take a large block of wood, cut that block of wood with the shape that you want to be able to cut it, and then create the table and leave the rest of the materials. Additive printing, on the other hand, focuses on creating the specific thing that you'd like to create using fine powder and the design that you've implemented and put into the machine. Therefore, normally whereby organizations would have had to waste large sums of materials in manufacturing, they do not have to do that anymore. To illustrate this, I'll give an example of an organization in Zimbabwe. This organization in Zimbabwe is a large cement manufacturing organization. They have traditionally made majority of their money in the household market. However, they realized that with the advent of 3D printing, they might find themselves in a trap going into the future, and essentially have now transitioned towards 3D printing. And basically, what they're doing is that they're using 3D printing to create computer-aided models, all right, of houses. And then once they create those 3D models of houses, then going on to print them. It sounds ridiculous how now organizations and people can now print an entire house. This has been tried and tested multiple times, and these organizations have actually found that they're saving approximately 40 to 60% on the costs that they would have traditionally gone to have. You can imagine how this has completely demolished traditional business models that organizations had before. Another great critical example is organizations in the United States of America that are currently using 3D printing to create body parts. Yes, body parts. So for example, you find that if an individual's arm has had to be amputated, they can now be able to use 3D printing to create a personalized arm that individual can be able to use. And all this has been made possible by the fact that 3D printers have now become cheaper over the years and have become more accessible and affordable for organizations and individuals to use. So, how does this affect your business? Say, for example, you're a manufacturing company and you'd like to introduce a new array of products. Normally, with traditional printing, you would have had to go and order all those different supplies to your offices and then had to use all these different blocks of material to create a prototype of what you want to build. However, with the advent of 3D printing, you as an organization can now be able to actually just create a 3D model of what you'd like to build and go on and print this with your 3D printer, given that you have some of the materials required to be able to make this. So this means that you as an organization can now be able to actually create prototypes at a much cheaper price and can be able to churn these different prototypes much faster than it would have been in the past. Furthermore, because this kind of technology makes it easier and faster to manufacture, this means that you as an organization can be able to personalize products for your customers much easier, and also helps you to reduce your total costs in manufacturing, as the additive printing uses only the material that is required to create that one product and does not waste any materials. You will reduce your costs by an added reduction of wastage within your organization. However, organizations need to note that this kind of technology is not yet working at an optimal rate for large-scale manufacturing businesses yet, as it is still in its infancy. This technology is most useful in organizations that need a high degree of customization to their product, a high degree of flexibility to their product, as well as a high degree of specificity in how it is designed and created. As a result, organizations that have now gone on to adopt these technologies in these markets have gone on to see their costs reduce by up to 60% over time. And this has left organizations that have not adopted these technologies behind in terms of the greater scheme of things and from a cost perspective. Now that we've looked at some of the technologies that organizations are using now, the next stage is naturally to look into the future in terms of what organizations will be using tomorrow. And these are some of the things that we at Xavier Africa are actually experimenting and tinkering with our various clients. Join us next week as we discuss some of these experimental technologies that we've been using, as well as how they can be able to help you and your organization thrive within this environment. Please remember to subscribe, share, and like the content, as this helps us to be able to reach out to more and more organizations that will need this information and content to be able to reach their goals. Thank you.